Okay, for those of you listening to the audio podcast, we also release the show with video visuals on YouTube. So if you like some pretty pictures to go along with our pretty voices, search for Digital Suffering Podcast on YouTube to find us. Hello, and welcome to episode 27 of the Digital Suffering Podcast. We're your hosts. I'm Stephen Something.
Phamtom Limb.
It's me, James.
It is! It's you! Right. Today's show, we have something new that's popped up.
And something old that popped out.
Is this the old or this is the new? I've not come across this one.
Anyway.
Okay.
It's slightly blue.
It's
roll trailer. Okay, so Mr. Phantom, you were the one that picked this one up.
So yeah, I was looking at a thing that was a thing, and then I found a thing that wasn't a thing, and so CY Games, CY Games,
CY Games.
I don't know how they want to.
It's pronounced CY Games.
I don't know how they want to do it, and I don't care how they want to do it. Anyway, so I was on their website, their .co.jp website, looking for something to do with one of their upcoming games, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink, which we covered. Blah. Anyway. And I saw this game, Project Awakening.
Yeah.
Watched the trailer, which is about a minute and a half, and
it has gameplay in it, which is rather surprising.
I don't know if, well, I suppose it's gameplay without the HUD.
Yeah. But you can see the way the character reacts. That's definitely as it would be in game.
It's like third-person camera behind. It seems like a... What initially struck me was, I hope this isn't a Dark Souls clone, but it came off looking more like...
it's Shadow of the Colossus, but with more action.
It's Shadow of the Monster Hunter.
Shadow of the Monster Hunter.
Shadow of the Monster.
It's like Monster Hunter without all the pretty goofiness that is in Monster Hunter, which I don't know if I actually want. I like Monster Hunter for what it is.
It's Shadow of the Colossus, but without needing to climb on the monster.
I don't think Monster Hunter needs to be soulsified or gritty. It is what it is, right?
But doesn't it? Because
No.
it's a whole market that's not been tapped.
Yeah, but it's
tap
already,
that market.
It's well established in its own right as well. I don't like. Do we need to go there?
Dark
Psych Games thinks we do.
Like, honestly, I'll cast your mind back to, like, what dragon film have you seen where the grittiness comes off as grittiness and not, like, some other BS?
Dragon film.
As in a film with dragons in.
A film with dragons in.
I can only think of 2 films with dragons.
Come on.
Pretty much the Lord of the Rings ones.
They're not really dragons, but I'll let that slide.
Well, in the Hobbits.
Smaug is a dragon. But the only other one I can think of is the one with Matthew McConaughey.
Okay. And there's Dragonheart as well, which is pure classic.
The Sean Connery one.
I refuse to acknowledge that.
And
How to Train Your Dragon, but that's another.
Anyway, but all of it comes off looking hokey and garbage, right? With the exception of Lord of the Rings. Well, it's more The Hobbit anyway. But with the exception of The Hobbit, it all comes off looking hokey and garbage, right?
Yeah.
Because they're trying too hard, and it's like Aragon or whatever that garbage is called. Like Talking Dragons.
Yeah,
in animation,
it's very
kind
hard
of
to do.
Works.
A talking dragon.
But in films, it has to be so subtle. And in The Hobbit, it's because he's smart.
Yeah,
it's because he's...
You don't see his lips moving, so it's not like, oh, it's a dragon and it's like moving his lips.
Yeah, Sean Connery as a dragon, not buying.
I don't know which film you were referring to. Sean Connery is a dragon?
Dragonheart.
Dragonheart.
No, I don't know.
Bleeding ignorance will not lessen the sentence.
We know you've seen the film. We know you have a Dragonheart duvet.
It will not lessen the sentence.
And pillow set, thank you very much.
Whereas the cartoon versions, like there's an old cartoon. I don't remember what it's called, but there's like old dragons and young dragons and an evil dragon and a whole bit, and it was awesome.
Dungeons and Dragons.
No, it wasn't that. But anyway,
they got left there. Series end. They got left there.
They ended the series. They essentially ran out of money, but they They didn't get to.
Yeah.
They had the script written up for the episode where they actually get back.
Yeah.
But they never got to make it.
They got
Really?
left there.
Yeah.
They got left there.
The shit you don't know when you're a kid, eh?
Yeah.
They just got left there.
It's tragic, but yeah, they were supposed to go home.
They're still there now.
Yeah.
Do you know how many D&D campaigns have been to rescue them?
They all failed.
Anyway, yeah, I don't think this is needed. And this looks more, like, in a weird way, this looks like a tech demo. Like, it's on the CY Games website, you can go and watch it. And I'll probably put it in the video of the podcast. But it seems like a tech demo, almost. It's a little bit too much to be a tech demo, but it almost seems like somebody's gone... And this is totally not in the vein of anything they do. All their stuff is, like, anime-esque tie-ins.
But Cygames is a publisher.
Yes.
As well. So
are they Japanese or Korean or what?
I think they're Japanese.
Oh yeah, you said .co.jp, so they must be.
Yeah. Essentially, if a studio says we've got work or thing, or they commission a game and the style comes out, it won't look like their previous stuff. But I mean, the thing is, it does match several genres which have been somewhat successful.
Yes, mate.
So it's like,
and this is PlayStation as well.
Dark Shadow of the Monster. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I prefer
Hunter Edition.
I prefer Souls Colossi because that makes less sense.
Colossal Soul Hunter.
It's a case of we'll need to see, if this game goes further. If he is, because I mean, at the end of the trailer, you see an army of colossi walking towards him, in the mist.
Yeah.
And is it going to be boss rush style, just like Shadow of the Colossus, or is it going to be, something more than that?
Do they have a release date for it?
No.
Well, you know how things are when they nowadays they release trailers and adverts and things just so many months before the game is even going to come out, and it's like by the time it comes out again, you go, "Have I seen this?"
Yeah.
before?
What was this again?
Oh,
Vaguely
that happens
familiar.
way too often.
Yeah.
Like you don't even when I write down the name of something and I'm like second guessing whether it is the same game anymore.
That's also because they all have very similar names.
Yeah. Let's segue.
Let's get away and segue.
It's not what you think it is. It's something else.
Oh yes, this one. Okay, so
Futuristic Dark Souls.
Oh, shut up.
I said that, and he had to go at me. Right. Okay. So this is Outriders. It's not out yet, so it's in Riders.
It's not out till like late this year.
It is a
and they've done it like this. Sorry, you go.
Okay. It is a cover-based third-person shooter with RPG elements. It's actually a third-person cover shooter RPG is how they described it. So it's kind of like Gears of War, but it's more like
REM-NANT.
REM-NANT. Was it something of the Ashes?
REM-NANT from the Ashes.
From the Ashes. REM-NANT from the Ashes. REM-NANT. It's like Remnant from the Ashes, in that it's like. Although we don't know if it's the maps are like the sort of randomly
It's
generated.
linear. It's 100%.
Oh, it's linear this time.
It's not even as fleshed out as REM-NANT.
REM-NANT.
It's linear. There is no. There are a couple of side missions, but they do not take you.
It's straightforward.
Yeah, it is a single player campaign in the oldest respect of single player campaigns.
Now,
and considering it's an RPG, that means they may curtail your experience.
Yeah, it's an RPG, but you control a character and there's no you play through a character's story essentially.
That's it.
So
so the maps are always the same?
When we watched
we
watched the video,
randomly generated.
Yeah.
They've stolen the HUD from Destiny, as you can see.
Yeah.
Carbon copy.
Who's this made by?
People Can Fly, I believe.
Oh, okay.
You've heard of them, right?
Yeah. And they've had a few like big profile games.
So now they mentioned that the cover base. Well, it is a cover based shooter. The cover elements are not as fully involved as other shooters where they have cover elements. It's just that you sort of duck behind them and you're covered, and that's it. So you pop out and you shoot, as opposed to doing like blind cover fire and stuff, or like moving to the corners for advantage. It's literally you crouch behind it and you're covered. If they don't have line of sight, they can't shoot you. But that's about the extent.
I kind of prefer that.
That guy's got.
Yeah, it is. But the thing is, it's. But the problem is, I mean, you see the level. There are lots. It's just like the land is awash with waist high walls and boxes.
Oh yeah.
You can see. I mean, if no one told you it was cover shooter and the guy didn't think, you could tell it was a cover shooter because so much stuff is waist height for ducking behind.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
it is of its kind.
Yeah, it's obvious in its indication of it, but the fact that they haven't gone full, saying we're going to take advantage of all those features and have it so that you can do it, you can use it as a proper mechanic seems a bit of a strange shoot. I mean, it's still down the line, and they might add that, but considering how quite feature complete the bit already is, it does seem like something they're not going to bother elaborating on.
I will say, right, I think it might be genuinely a design decision not to have it too heavily cover based, because then
it slows down the pacing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right. Actually, yes,
you would hope it.
The reviewer mentioned that essentially a lot of the elements are push you forward, like he was doing like fighting a boss battle, where you were in this like enclosed warehouse with like pillars, so you could duck behind them and stuff. But as an environmental hazard, there was this fire tornado that would like home in on your position.
Yeah, it was.
So literally, you could hide behind cover, but only for about 10-15 seconds, because eventually the tornado would catch you and you'd start taking dot damage. So it's like a case of, it's a cover-based shooter, but where you keep moving. Essentially, it's like Doom 2016, Doom Eternal, where you have to keep moving. Even as I pointed out pre-show, the way that you clear an area, and enemies seem to like pop into existence, like the way the demons teleport in the Doom games, seems like ridiculous. It's like, I've cleared this area, you go around the corner, back to, you backtrack, 10 metres, and there's an enemy in a spot, and you're like, oh, you weren't there. How did you get... And it just seems... I don't know if they're going to explain it in game or something, or it's just, we need to make the game something. We're just going to have enemies just spawn just around the corner, even though it's an area you've been to before. It just seems, it does. It's like, okay, this is a way to like keep the player moving, push them forward. But it means you don't get a sense like, I've cleared an area. It becomes almost too arcadey. I mean, in Doom, you expect it because the demons are invading from another dimension. They're going to teleport in. That's fine. You expect it. And the games have always been fast-paced thing. But here, like I said, the cover-based idea is at odds with everything else in the gameplay.
Yeah, I guess, and also the RPG element is, it would... you always think of that as a slower paced kind of...
Any RPG stuff you do would be purely, pertaining towards getting your, having your build be as fast as possible, because... the gameplay style pushes you towards that.
Yeah. Just going back, I didn't think about it until I just said it a few minutes ago.
Mm.
If it is linear as that, if you don't have the ability to replay an area, then how are you going to gain more experience? And so it's going to be finite choices.
If you bypass enough enemies that you don't experience, level up or stuff.
There's a finite amount of experience that can be gained, and then you're not going to be able to unlock certain powers.
I've got it. Maybe. Spawn caves.
Yeah, but no.
Did they rip it off from Destiny? Spawn caves.
Or maybe it's just RPG elements. Yeah,
so I mean, it's very, very similar to the REM-NANT formula as we mentioned in the pre-show. There seems to be very little emphasis on any kind of melee combat.
You said that wrong. You said it wrong.
I said what? REM-NANT? Oh, sorry. Forgive me.
This is something that I mentioned to you.
Yeah.
Obviously, because we spoke about REM-NANT. Pre the game coming out, and then I watched a lot of it.
Yeah.
I'm always open to being wrong.
Yeah.
But what we watched was developer
video we did
with
look.
Explanation and everything.
We watched like half an hour, at least half an hour.
It was over an hour.
Yeah.
It was like a full-on stream. The guy was answering questions. It was very informative. That's where we got our impressions from.
Yeah.
After all, it's just an opinion. But I did watch hours and hours of mid-level and high-level gameplay of the game, and I can't say I was wrong, but moreover, what this game has done in taking away the melee combat is it saved itself a headache because it's not even a consideration in this. Whereas in that, it became a thing where you were looking for an upgrade for a weapon that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Because after a certain point, you were just opening crates with the melee weapons. It was never used effectively on any enemies.
Yeah, essentially, once you've got a gun that's powerful enough, you don't engage the enemy because...
Well, you can't, because...
The closer you are, the more
even
dangerous it is.
one-on-one, most of the enemies that had a melee system
also
in that game...
had a range attack.
Would... No, they would just beat the out of you.
Really?
Yeah, you would be beaten melee hands down every time.
Ah, okay, so you...
Once you got into the mid and late game...
You could...
It
Oh, that's right,
wasn't
because
an
it doesn't have like doesn't have a parry system or anything.
No. It was literally swing and hope.
Yeah. It was just because if it was like Dark Souls or the games where they have more involved melee combats where you can say parry and block and stuff.
Yeah, if there was a strategic element to it, I could see a continuation of it. But ultimately, it was at a loss because it became like a spare cock. Coming out the back of its head.
You never know when you might need a spare one.
Not coming out the back of your head, you won't.
It would make parties very interesting. Anyway, but yeah, it seems
that guy's a dickhead.
it focuses much more on the gunplay because in the end, if you were to have a game like Dark Souls or REM-NANT where you have access to guns, it's why would you engage in like close quarters combat if you didn't need to?
That Silver Knight's coming at me with a sword and shield. It's a good thing I bought this AK-47.
I'm just going to snipe him from across the map.
His helmet isn't going to do when I fill it full of lead.
And also, they've seen one thing they've also had is the characters. While they had like sort of perks and abilities in REM-NANT, this one they've got much more full-on psychic abilities or something like that. Some of the characters...
teleport looks OP as hell.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons they mentioned why they don't have PvP is because
I was going to ask that.
If they had PvP, it'd be all the powers that you normally have access to would have to be nerfed because you can just imagine teleporting by another player, like one hit
with a shotgun,
then one shotting them. It's going to be like people just get griefed like non-stop.
I applaud them for that.
No,
there's too few games where they make the actual decision to just make it what it is and make a proper game.
As opposed to saying multiplayer is a tick box, we have to shoehorn it in.
Exactly.
We're
going to make this weak-ass game just so we can shoehorn something else in.
Yeah, it's good that they don't compromise on the... because... The point of all the powers, the ability to say, okay, I'm just going to teleport behind them, bang, execution, done. It makes the player powerful, and to to cripple that, for their multiplayer base would be, a disservice to the game. They said, like for the bosses, some of the powers that you have the power to freeze, slow down time and stuff. What's it called? They said that when you use some of those powers on the bosses. It works, but the moment you hit them the first time, they break out of it. So that way, they don't nerf the power per se, and you can use it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean
diminishing return.
It means that you still get usage out of it, which does help you with the encounters, and it means that the bosses don't get you don't wipe the floor with them just super quick.
Yeah. Anyway, what was my point?
This is better than REM-NANT. REM-NANT!
That's what I was going to say. I struggle to think of a player base that is going to pick this up over The Division or something else which is far more involved and basically this and more. I mean, it has the fantasy element, light fantasy elements in it.
Yeah.
Right, which might appeal to the ARPG crowd or people who like sci-fi garbage. I'm not saying that garbage is in rubbish, but that's their bag. Right? Yeah. Whereas there are people who like guns for reals, who are crazy, who might pick up The Division and say, "Oh, I can get my carbine."
Because these are real world weapons.
Exactly right. But that game has a lot more to it, and it's much more of a world. It's less of a straight-on campaign to just get from A to B, finish game, done. Because this is going to end up being one of those games that
you play through it once.
Yeah, and never again.
DLC. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Is it's a case that,
and because it doesn't have, does it even have multiplayer?
No. Well, he said there was the intention to perhaps add.
No, he did. No, he said it does have multiplayer. It doesn't have PvP. It's the difference.
It's then co-op.
Then. Yeah. Co-op it has. Right. Okay. I think that's going to be the saving grace of this game, but only to a certain point.
As long as they ramp up they make it, ramp up the difficulty, have it so that it makes it co-op worthwhile.
Monsters times 8.
Well, no. The thing is, throwing in additional monsters is not enough. Sometimes you need it where you can work as a team.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. He was, I think the skills you would have to synergize with teammates in order for your skills to be that much more.
Otherwise,
effective.
It becomes like
one person stuns, another person debuffs.
Otherwise, it's like playing Doom co-op, where it's just a massive. You're just blasting everywhere in every direction.
An F-fest, that would.
That was good. Some people patched in you could actually the original Dooms, Doom 1-2 had co-op play.
Really?
Yeah. It sort of simplified the game somewhat because you could just storm in there with a small army. Yeah. So but I mean it has. There are bits that obviously need work that we pointed out. But I mean, the idea seems to be perhaps better executed. Because the problem with REM-NANT, with its dynamically generated thing, was that it became very nondescript. You know what I mean?
All of those things were its best elements.
Wow.
And ultimately put it into a category that it couldn't survive in.
Yeah. Wow.
Because let's put some guns in it.
Well, the problem is at the moment they added the guns, it changed the nature of the beast. But this one is guns from the start, so
this feels like an arcade shooter to me.
Yeah. The problem, the thing is
with RPG elements, as the kids like to say.
It's very you congratulations, you passed this level. Okay, here's some action points to put into your various bits.
Do you want to make your grenade go boom boom? Yes, please. Tick.
Double boom.
Anyway, we loved it.
I think they should make a tower defense version of this game.
Third-person cover-based tower defense.
Oh my god! Wish I hadn't said that out loud.
People will fly. People can fly. Get to work on that.
Get good.
Right. We love that game. 2 thumbs up. Let's move on to the next game that we love. What is the next game that we love?
Well, it was the closing out. Unless you had. Oh, you do
speed
have,
Speed limit.
You do have
let's cover. Yeah, fire up speed limit. You can have a look at the thing. Okay, so you pointed out this. You said, "Oh, this is interesting. Have a look at this." So I had a look at it. It's a game. It's currently.
How dare you?
It's currently in a beta. You can actually, if you like, you can go to their Discord. If you join their Discord, you can get a link to download and play it. There's only 3 levels. So it is. If you bring it over, it's essentially a 2D sprite styled, 8-bit action game. You sort of in level 1.
Is this Under Siege Dark Territory?
It's Under Siege Dark Territory. Okay, so what it is, right? When the game starts, you're a guy on a train, and this bad guy runs in with a gun.
Is your name Liam Neeson?
No. Wait.
No, stop.
Let me get that's right. So, guy runs into a carriage with a gun.
Yeah.
This cop shoots him. He drops the gun.
Justified. Yes.
And
your character picks up the gun.
White T-shirt.
The cops in the carriage point their guns at you.
How many? What is it? Is it a train for cops?
There's billions of cops on this train.
There does seem like a lot of SWAT on here.
So that's it. And so your character suddenly, if you don't start shooting people,
hold on. Hold on a second. So you become the bad guy because you've picked up a gun.
He's got a gun. Shoot him. You literally, yeah, that's it. You can't pick up a gun.
And they mobilise the entire world's forces of SWAT teams.
That can't be it.
You literally have, when the game starts, you literally have a second or less to start blasting.
Did the people who wrote My Friend Pedro game write the storyline to this as well?
Who was this made by?
I can't remember the studio.
It's an indie.
Yeah, it's interesting. Anyway, so you start blasting and
you kill police officers on a train.
You have to kill police officers and like SWAT teams.
Goddamn
the SWAT team come in, and you have to.
Goddamn morons!
Everyone with a gun, you must murder them.
Oh.
There's like undercover like agents and stuff.
You know, when I saw the still for this, I thought it was a lot cuter than that. This sounds really off key.
Right. Okay. Anyway. So literally, you have to start blasting, and you sort of run right towards the front of the train, I assume, to kill the driver so that you can get off or whatever.
Kill the driver, or just ask him nicely to stop.
You're murdering police officers, right?
Wait, is this another train that doesn't stop? Is it snowbound?
I don't know. I admit I didn't get to the front of the train. It is very very hard. If you watch the game, you'll see you've got like stuff flying in the foreground. You've got like speed lines, and the bullets that the enemy fires move very quickly. You're either standing and running or crouching and running, and you're shooting. You can shoot in 5 directions, so left, right, diagonals, and straight up. And you pretty much have to be shooting like almost constantly because enemies come at you, via the roof. You see the one section, I could not line my shot up. And the problem is that when the carriage you start in, you've got like this train of officers behind the guy with the shield, and they chase you down the trains.
That's the whole point of it.
Presumably,
you will never win.
Yeah. So the thing is, you can not
allowed running. They're going oi 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 oi.
You have to keep shooting. If you hesitate for too long, they catch up with you, and you
from behind.
You get shot from behind. There's people with like riot shields, and it was annoyingly what's called, if you duck and shoot them, the bullet bounces back and kills you. But if you're standing and shoot them, it doesn't do anything, and you have to go in point blank to shoot them to kill them. And it's like, well, that's a strange mechanic. So you have to be like standing up, ducking, to depending on the enemy type. It is kind of addictive, and it's like, have one more go, because as you get
forgivingness.
Yeah, as you like beat a carriage and you say, right, I've worked out these patterns, and then you get killed. So right, just one more go. I know I can get a little bit further. So there's that, but it is from the get go very very punishing. You say, you can like dodge bullets and stuff, but the thing is, the bullets are tiny little yellow blobs. When you've got so much swishing through, you don't see the bullets almost. But by the time you do, you can't react fast enough.
Why are they called speed limit?
Because in other levels, there's like a level where you're like, there's a level where you're driving down a motorway and you have to
Are you not allowed to go below 55?
I think it's
otherwise your computer will explode.
It's a take on all those action movies where you're in a vehicle or related to thing where everything is constantly moving.
Confused.
Plus, I mean, when you're playing it, you have to be constantly moving because otherwise the enemy from behind catches up with you.
I know, but you're shooting, you're not driving.
You've made this game sound like The Matrix, like one of the second 2 films.
Yeah.
So the police are after you, people who look like the police and want to kill you.
Yeah.
And you're constantly running because you're trying to get out of the Matrix. And they spawn in like a bazillion.
Well, you saw them in the video. They just like appear on the roof. They're popping out of like the floor. They're like running down from the carriage. It's like this train is going to like, a police convention or something. Yeah.
It smacks of the Matrix to me.
I was after playing it, and I was like, crushed, having my spirit crushed. I was tempted to post on Discord making comments regarding some of the enemies and stuff. Like the enemies that chase you seem to catch up with you far too quickly. And for like level 1, I mean, if they were slightly slower, so you can like at least get into the flow of the game.
That is the danger of 2D games, though.
Yeah,
they all have that mechanic where suddenly you start getting enemies from where you just came from.
Yeah. Yeah, but this, I mean, you see, there are literally like 1,000 people hiding behind that guy with the shield. And so...
1,000 people.
So, wait.
Literally.
I gotta reload, guys.
You can actually, if you stand there and just keep shooting them, they pop up and you think, but
That sounds like mania, complete mania.
Anyway, and like the people on the roof are really hard to like line up the shots and stuff. And I was like, because there were times where I'd sort of shoot straight up, and the bullets seemed to not collide with the
it seemed
the sprites.
pixel perfect. Their head seems to be.
And I was like, I was gonna comment. Oh, perhaps this need to check the collision on this. But then people posting about the troubles they're having on level 3, and I'm like, I can't even beat level 1. All I'm going to get is like get good scrub comments. So I thought I'll just leave it as is.
Move on with your life.
Yeah, move on with my life. But I mean, it's fine. But the thing is, I think it might need just a touch of balancing, just to get people into the game, because I mean it's no Dark Souls. There's no point crushing the player. Literally, if you don't start shooting within the first second, you will get shot and you will die. And it's like, I died like 3 times before I even worked out what my controls were. I was like, anyway. Shall we? Is there one more, or are we wrapping up?
Just wanted to cover.
Oh yes, that's right. You got the game you've been playing.
Yeah. So this game's 4 years in the making.
Introduce it for the benefit of the people at home.
I've mentioned this a couple of times previously, but not really in depth.
Dark Souls.
Not that, weirdly.
REM-NANT. You haven't been playing that.
And definitely not that. Wolcen, Lords of Mayhem.
Wolcen.
By Wolcen Studios. I don't know what came first.
Well, I don't think they'll rename themselves Wolcen after the...
They would.
They're one and done studio.
Can you imagine the first draft?
Yeah.
The game, you control a game developer, and you have to develop a game called Wolcen.
Yes,
but they found that too boring, so they just said we'll skip the middleman and just develop the game the in-game developer was working on.
That's meta. A game within a game within a game.
Yeah, can you imagine in the game you go up to the computer, you like click on an icon which loads up a game in piece, and then your character plays Wolcen for you. That'd be weird.
So,
it is a Diablo-like.
It's an action RPG.
Well, big number.
But
tainted primordial armor.
It is.
You have to finish your sentence, or we won't know what you're talking about.
So in 2016.
In 2016,
right, I purchased this game
for a bargain price.
Well, it's practically a third of what is currently being sold for, and not that long ago, a week or so ago, the game came out of early access. So basically
into medium access.
Yeah, I will say it is as still. I mean, it's come a long way.
It's 4 years down the line.
I mean, I've been playing this game every 8 to 12 months since I purchased it.
Mm.
Sometimes a bit more frequent than that because there were obviously updates.
Yeah.
And content. And
there's so many numbers.
It's weird because it's evolved into a different thing. I mean, the core mechanics are still there, but they completely changed the story.
Yeah.
And the beginning of the game. So they've kind of, instead of you being, you know how sometimes in these games you start off as the level 1 hero, the guy who just wanders into town and he just happens to be the anointed one. Or he had an accident and didn't die, and M. Night Shyamalan made a film about him.
Lost his memory.
So in this world, imagine a world where Path of Exile was
good.
No. So Path of Exile.
No, that is too much of a stretch.
Path of Exile's fine for what it is. I hope for better things in the future.
Path of Exile 2 coming soon.
Yeah, not coming soon.
Pants.
So it's think of a world where Path of Exile was based on Diablo 2 heavily.
Okay.
And
that's this world.
That was its. No. That, like, the Path of Exile world is that, right? That's its crutch, and it will always bear that crutch because they haven't been able to get past it. Like, if you play it now, you can still see the similarities of it. But what essentially they've done is they've got a gaping wound, which is that thing that they base their entire game on, and then they've constantly patched that gaping wound to get away from it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it is what it is.
Yeah.
Right? These are the
foundations.
It's like trying to disown your own family. Ultimately, your genes are still the same as your own family. Right? This game is the Path of Exile that would have been created had Diablo 3 existed at the time.
Yeah, so this is Path of Exile based on Diablo 3 instead.
In a weird, effed up way that you could explain that as that would be a way of explaining what happens in this. It borrows a lot of elements, and well done, I might say, in a lot of respects, from things like Diablo 3.
That's a long way round. Just say it's a clone of D3.
It's not a clone of D3 though.
It's saying it's similar in idea to that.
You wouldn't say Path of Exile is a clone of D2. I mean, in 2010 you might have, but not now. So it's got a good. It's got a weird skill system where, like Path of Exile, you find or buy the skill and then level it up from there.
Yeah.
But essentially, it's not a gem that you shove into your thing. You learn it, and then it has runes like in D3, and then you can customize it. And then the passive tree, which is a circle, and it has like melee nodes, spell nodes, well, and range nodes. So essentially, they're the 3 archetypes. And the game wants you to branch out into all 3 trees.
Okay.
Because the resource system is a system which is a little bit bizarre, and you can kind of defeat it, but ultimately the game doesn't want you to do that. It wants you to use both rage, which is for melee and ranged combat, and willpower, which is for spell combat.
Sure.
Right? Because essentially, when you use a lot of wisdom for spells, it drains and fills up your rage.
Yeah.
So then you're supposed to complement that by using something like a ranged attack or a melee attack, which uses the rage, and then it will swing back and you can use the other skill again. And you can get items where it does things like rage on hit, so you can keep buffering your rage. Keep, obviously it's like a tipping point where you need to get to where you keep the resource going. Mob density. The game, like different to others, is very stat heavy on the weapons.
Yeah.
On the gear, shall I call it? Which you kind of want, because then that increases the thing of grinding.
Yeah. You have something to pursue, so I need this particular gear.
And when you get to a certain point in the game, you get things like cooldown reduction, which aren't available to you until that late game.
Okay.
There are 3 nodes on the passive tree that will do 30% if you get all 3 of them of cooldown reduction. But ultimately, there are skills that you will want to have at your beck and call all the time.
Okay.
And that kind of leads into a couple of broken builds.
Ultimate willpower potion.
Like, the game is nowhere near perfect. That is beyond evident.
It's still in medium access.
Yeah, like saying it's effectively gone gold and not in early access anymore, as the company did say, and ramped the price up to £30-something on Steam the other week, is not indicative of saying this game is bug-free and fixed.
Which is what going gold implies.
Yeah, I mean, I've been playing it probably for the best part of this week, and it's crashed on me, locked up my computer. I've sent several crash reports, more times than I can count. And then there are balancing issues, which I'm assuming they're going to get to after they fix all the bugs. But they're definitely going to nerf some of this stuff into the ground. Like, honestly. Like what you're watching here.
All I'm seeing is him blocking everything. Block, 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 block.
Is part of the thing that needs to be nerfed.
Yeah.
Like, this footage isn't going to be in the video, kids, but...
Trust us, it needs to be nerfed.
The melee build at the moment is just overpowered completely. And looking at the passive tree, you might think to yourself, holy hell, that looks like Path of Exile.
It looks very much like
That's the passive tree.
That is the passive tree.
What?
The current level cap is 90.
Wow.
So...
nowhere to go, kids.
You've got 90 points to put into this. And then you have, like, these bigger nodes of
Presumably you
things...
start in the centre.
Yes. Yeah. And you can rotate each section of the wheel. So if you want to get to that and you're here, like you're coming out this way, you can rotate that round so you've got a much more defined line toward it. But of course you're locking out other trees.
I assume that once you move into a segment, that locks that segment in place. You can't rotate it further.
No, you can.
But wouldn't it?
But it breaks the connection.
So you'd have to redo all the points then.
Well, you have to reconnect it.
Okay.
But in the early game, you might want to go for one tree and then twist it, and then getting a second one and then
Twisting it again.
route it back. But you can respec in this as well, which is you can respec the hard points that you get. So every level you get 10 points to put into toughness, which is basically health. Ferocity, which is basically crit chance. Wisdom, which is basically ailment, effect, chance, and agility, which is attack speed and spellcasting speed. So you've got 10 points to distribute between all of those.
Don't waste anything on that, just get a couple of rings.
Seriously,
you need to spend them in order to get the rings.
I'm not in. I'm in the mid game. I'd say I'm in the mid game
37%
with my most
sort
of the character I've got to the furthest point. I'm in the mid game, and
Prince is dead.
There's already like items that have 30 toughness or 30 ferocity on them. So, and I've seen items in the later game where it's giving you like 80% spell damage and 80%, melee damage and stuff like that. So there is it seems like the sky's the limit. The developers have also stated that currently there is no cap on crit chance, there is no cap on cooldown reduction, there is no cap on like movement speed or any of those things, or attack speed or anything. They're just going to see where it goes and and nerf accordingly.
Yeah. We'll wait till the players break.
Are they diminishing returns though?
Not as far as I have seen on any of those. Like, seeing people with 60% crit chance has become quite normal.
Yeah, but I can get that easy.
But I do like the game, and there's a lot there, and like as you sort of unravel the skill tree of runes for each skill, you start seeing that there is combinations of things that you would like to try, and not all skills are viable with all characters, because again, in the sort of similar vein to Path of Exile, certain skills are only you're only able to do certain things. So obviously, you'll need a bow or a gun. There are handguns in this as well. You'll need a bow or a gun to do some. You'll need a melee weapon to do others. You'll need a stave to do others, and so on and so on. But it does still open, like, there's going to be somebody who's going to make a hybrid character, which is going to be insane on this.
Yeah, but that just
Like, I think that's going to be ultimately. I think that's going to be what comes out of this current insanity.
If you can, but the thing is, if you can make a hybrid character, like 90 points is a lot. That means that if you just go all in on the warrior or the wizard or whatever class they are,
Yeah.
You will, if you just do that, you will automatically be overpowered because
Well,
that's
kind of what's happened.
They've designed it so that you can go in all directions. And some people aren't going to go in all directions, and the character's just going to be.
Oh yeah. I mean, currently, like I started with a spellcaster type character, and I'm currently working towards and actually been using for the last 10 or so levels. I've actually been using a build where I basically just walk through enemies and they die. They explode, and they explode as well, doing AoE damage, which means I can set off like a chain reaction of exploding enemies.
So you run to the nearest mob. Yeah.
Well, at the moment, I'd like
Thorn's Wizard would be a great character.
Maybe, yeah. And I'm teleporting in, which does damage, into the center of packs and just watching them be annihilated. And that's where I am, and I'm at level like 42. This is only going to get more insane as I go up. But I'll feature that somewhere else. Anyway, it was just a quick lukey luke. There's lots for this game to be fixed, but it's come so far, and it looks so pretty as well. Also, would like to mention that the transmogrification aspect of this game is insane. It's the best I've seen in an action RPG.
Is it like Forza?
It's better.
Wash your mouth out.
So when you apply, obviously you find the cosmetic armor, like the different armors as you go, and it gives you the plan for it in order to cosmetically change whatever you're wearing. But unlike in Diablo 3 and other games, when you cosmetically change the thing, it doesn't change the item you're actually holding, it changes it on the character. So if you change a helmet and then you find a better helmet and swap it out, it will still have the transmogrification you set on your character. Wolcen needs to fix the bugs, then they need to start fixing the scaling of these skills. Also, there's a greater rift once you finish the story. I'm not sure how many acts there are. I'm currently in Act 3. I think that might be it. But anyway, there's a greater rift thing that seems to... Sky's the limit.
Why can't... You just said there you can't respawn while allies are in combat.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. I haven't encountered
Can
that
they
because I haven't
resurrect
played in multiplayer, but I have
I
seen
guess they have to, but there wasn't even a countdown timer on that.
Yeah,
no, it's,
because
it's,
you have to wait.
though,
You have to wait till they get out of combat.
Yeah, but
That's insane.
no, that's rubbish.
Because
Completely rubbish.
I suppose it's like saying, oh well, you can't just like go in there and just war of attrition enemies to death.
Yeah, but then you'd have a countdown timer. Don't you? You get a longer timer every time you die. 5 seconds.
Yeah.
10
To
seconds,
punish
whatever.
the player that way.
Yeah.
But here it's like, if they don't res you, you're not coming back in.
Well, yeah, but say if you're a character that just other skills are available, but whirlwind through enemies, or your allies always gonna see you in combat.
Yep.
So you're never gonna be able to res. What?
You have to leave the party.
Yeah.
Res yourself and then rejoin the party.
Wow.
We're going to stop that there. Do you want to close out?
Oh yeah, okay. That was great. Everyone buy the game. Give the developers money, they need it, so they can finish development. That was it for our podcast. We're out of here. Good night.
Good.